When it comes to fake news, people often think of mainstream media like CNN, CNBC, the New York Times, or the Japanese Times, or whatever big media outlet there is conducting psychological operations. The reason why people prefer that the media deceives them is because it gives them an excuse for not examining those close to them. We know that multinational corporations deceive. We know that they lie. We know that they trick the masses. That's obvious. You don't have to be a genius to understand that. Okay? But what a lot of folks don't want to face is that the number one people that have a vested interest in lying to you are those close to you. I made a video in which I explained what lying is. I'm not going to repeat all of it here, so watch that video. Okay? You can type in what is lying, already does it in Google, and you will, or on YouTube, and you will find it. Now, why is it that people close to you are more likely to lie to you than people that are far off? Very simple. Those that are close to you are involved with you. So they have expectations. And because most of them are worldly people, so their expectations don't add up, they need to face that their expectations don't add up. But to face that your expectations don't add up means you need to admit things you don't want to admit. And worldly people don't want to go there. So worldly people, when they can't escape facing something, they'll use deception and lies to distract people from their situation. And those that are closest to you are the ones you are familiar with, so you know what triggers them, you know more about them, so they are the easiest to lie to. Look, if you're walking down the street somewhere in New York and you have thousands of strangers passing by you, let's say you pick one of those random strangers and just try to lie to them. You don't know who that individual is, you don't know their background, you don't know what triggers them, you don't know how they look at life. So to lie to an individual like that, it's quite risky. It may even backfire on you and you may even be in danger. But if it's your son or daughter, or maybe a bloke down the street, or a girl that just finished college, then it's much easier to lie because you know what triggers them, you know how to use information to push them in the wrong direction, because it's much easier to do because you are familiar with them. So people that are close to you are more likely to lie to you than people that are far off. Yet common people, they project this the other way around. They hold on to the idea that those closest to you are true to you, and that it's those that are far off that you need to look out for. This scapegoating of strangers is because they don't want to face the truth. Now, what I'm saying is that sometimes relatives, friends, or even just the community around you will play mind games on you. Why? Because they will target you to keep attention away from them. Let me give an example. Let's say you have a neighbor, a female neighbor that calls the police on you. She's filing in false reports that you guys are causing a disturbance with loud music during the nights. She's lying about stuff. So now in the police records, you are mentioned often as a troublemaker. So next time something happens in the neighborhood, because you are mentioned often by several people as a troublemaker, the police will come to you first. That's how it goes in the world. But then one of the police officers discovered that the neighbor that was complaining about you all the time was having an affair, and that she was involved in drug trafficking. It's then that police officer realized why that female neighbor of yours was complaining about you, even filing false police reports against you. It was to put you in a negative daylight so that nobody would notice what they are doing. So fake news is something that common people do to each other on a daily basis. It can be, for example, that you have a son who's married, but the son never comes. The son always tells you, well, mom, I I have a job, I have a family, so I can't often come. Of course, he has a job, he has a family, so he needs to spend time and focus on his family. There's nothing wrong with that. But from time to time, you can visit your parents. But your husband tells you, after a while, darling, our son is lying to us. He is not even working full time, I found out. And his wife is also working part time. And they have a high education, so they earn a lot of money. So it's not that they're exhausted because they work from 9 to 5. They're not. And I do see that they go on trips to Luxembourg, France, even Tunisia. So they have a lot of free time. So after your husband revealed this onto you, you still are in denial because you can't imagine that your son is treating you like this. But then you figure out the following, that your son is part of a cult together with his wife, and that they're using black magic on other people. And then you understood why your son was always complaining that he needs to work so much. And your son and your daughter-in-law often complained about the children, that some of the children, they don't want to listen and all of that. And now you realize that all of that was a lie. Your son and his wife are involved in dark practices that they know that the people will not accept. So they targeted one of their own children so that when that child of theirs malfunctioned, now people will see the dysfunctional child and people will have pity and empathy for them. And because people now feel sorry for them for having such a disturbed child, people wouldn't even imagine that they are involved in a satanic cult. So fake news is a common thing in daily life amongst worldly people. Am I saying that all worldly people on purpose lie to each other all the time? No, I'm not saying that. But it's common in daily life for worldly people to scam one another. And a lot of people don't want to recognize this. So what I'm teaching you here is just a small method. Use this method in a Christ-centered way, okay? It's not really, okay, maybe it's not even a method, but it's just a way for you to examine whether someone tries to scam you. Where someone is trying to scam you. So, okay. If, for example, you have this, let me give an example. Let's say you have this woman who's now divorced. And she talks about how controlling her husband was and all of that. And she's now also talking about how allegedly her uncle sexually molested her. So you hear all of this, and a lot of people, because she's a woman and she's playing the victim, people fall for it. But then you look at the context. You look at the age she married, she was 22, and when she divorced, she was 28. You also look at the context and you find out that she's now involved with another guy. But then, when you look deeper in the case, you realize that she was involved with this guy even before she was married. Oh, and then you figure out that she only married her former husband because that man had cash. So she faked being in love with that man to get his cash. Meanwhile, she kept having that side lover all the time. And now that her ex-husband is exposing her, she now wants to put the blame on someone else. Now, she doesn't want to face her sexual dysfunction and her narcissistic, manipulating ways. So now she comes up with this lie that she was sexually molested by her uncle. And now all the negative attention goes to the uncle. But then people are not very smart. Because if people would look at the bigger picture, you would realize, hold on a minute. You're almost 30 now. This allegedly happened when you were 6 or 7 years old. Or when you were 10 or 12 years old. Let's say it happened when you were 10, 12 years old. You were old enough to give hints to your parents something was going on. Why didn't you open your mouth when you were 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18? Why didn't you open your mouth back then? Why is it now that you are divorced and you're secretly involved with another guy that you begin to talk about this? Even if it really happened, why did you close your mouth all the time? And now that you have a bad reputation because your lies are being exposed, now you talk about what happened. If it's true that it happened, it's a bad thing. It shouldn't have happened. Okay? People are not going to hold it against you. But why are you using the past to deflect attention away from you now? There are people that use traumatic things that happened to them as a carte blanche to turn the focus away from them. Look, there are people who are real victims, but real victims always look for solutions. Real victims cannot wait to get a solution. Unfortunately, they are exploited by scammers who will come with fake solutions. That's the other part of it. But real victims seek solutions. Predators pretend to be victims, even if they were victimized in the past. It's something that happened. That's something they need to process to be healed. But predators don't want to process things. They don't want to be healed. They just want to use the past to blackmail others in the present. That's a big difference. And often, they were not even traumatized to the extent they claim. They're just lying to get a hold on people in the present. So anytime anyone complains to you, just hear the complaint and look at the context. If it's an elderly lady that's murmuring often, ask yourself, where's her husband? Or if she has a husband, how's their marriage? She wants to deflect attention away from the fact she stayed with a guy she should have left a long time ago. Or if someone suddenly doesn't like you, can't stand you, look at their situation. What's going on with them? What is it they don't want to face? It is because they don't want to face something. They're not putting you in a negative daylight. Look, if you have a perpetrator that harms the community and people point the finger to the perpetrator, that's a good thing. Then people can deal with stuff. But even if someone's a perpetrator and you find out that this perpetrator has been active for a long period of time, but it's only now that people are pointing out that he or she's a perpetrator, why are they pointing it out now? Why not? Why didn't they intervene all those years ago when he or she was causing harm to the community? So they don't care about all those victims that were harmed? No, they don't. So why are they now acting out against the perpetrator or the narcissist? It is because now the narcissist is using them at their expense. When the narcissist was using others and they could feel relieved by the narcissist's negative attitude, they were okay with it. They didn't even consider the victims. But now that it's backfiring onto them, now they want to deflect away attention from them, because if people look at the situation carefully, they would ask them, why didn't you open your mouth years ago when that narcissistic husband of yours was causing harm, or when that narcissistic wife of yours was out of hand? Why didn't you open your mouth then? Why? Knowing what was going on, you allowed it to continue. Why did you enable it? And they can't answer. And they don't want to face themselves. So they may turn on a real perpetrator, not because they want justice, but because they want attention to be diverted away from them. Okay? So, I'm not going to make this video very long. Anytime someone's complaining, or someone is upset, or someone has an issue against you, look at the context. What's going on? What are they trying to avoid? And if the environment enables them, why is the environment enabling them? Just look at the bigger picture, people. Agree with Christ.